Hiya, we're live. Hiya if you're joining us live. Hiya if you're not as well. It is the Late Challenge. We are back. It is episode 84. Hello, good evening and welcome. I'm Gareth Roberts. He's Paul Cope. Today we are going to talk about international break stuff. We're going to waffle about people in the media. We're going to talk about the Reds, and there might be other stuff in there as well. But straight off, I just want to say that here we are on episode 84 of a free show that you can watch for free. And so as things stand when I wrote this last night, there were 9,626 people who have, costing them no pence and no pounds, pressed subscribe on YouTube. Thank you very much for doing that. I really appreciate that. That's very nice of you. However, this is majorly triggering me now because there are more people than that who watch on the regular on YouTube. So why can't you just press YouTube? Why can't you just press subscribe? Come on. Because the reason it's triggering me so much is that's very close to 10,000. And I'd just love for it to say 10,000. Like if I saw that, I'd just be like,
be happy.
10,000. I'm happy now. I'm happy. So can we make it 10,000? If you just watch regularly, and presumably you've got a YouTube account, if you're watching on YouTube, just press the little subscribe button. Doesn't cost nothing. Means that my ego is fulfilled, and I might help more people watch it and the algorithm and all that kind of stuff. Please and thank you. Also, did you know that when you get to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, they send you a plaque? They send you like a little thing. Imagine
it's like one of the when music artists get like the gold disc. It's one of them.
Imagine like in a year, like by like Ringo and Shankly and the Liver Bird and the thing off Terminator. We just had this plaque saying 100,000 subscribers. Now, I was thinking about this last night in depth, and I was thinking, it's not going to happen, is it?
I see that.
If it took us this long to get to...
I want to delete that even from the version I've got. It's not going to happen if we don't believe it's going to happen.
Well, but then if you're looking at the agenda and it's got ...
Yeah.
And then I carried on thinking, you see, after that. And then I ran the Late Challenge through like this social media projection tool. And it said that we will break 100,000 in 4 years' time.
Based on current
growth. But if you're watching it and you're thinking, I can just press the button for the lads. That's no skin off my nose. Then maybe we can get to 100,000 quicker. Maybe we can have a nice little plaque in the studio. And maybe, everyone's just happy, aren't they? And also, not only that, 100,000 you get this plaque, but you get a gold one if you get to 1 million. You get a diamond one if you get to 10 million. And you get a red diamond one if you get to 100 million. So, I didn't do the projections for that. It didn't allow me. But I imagine it's after I've expired.
What YouTube channels have got 100 million subscribers?
I don't know. Ronaldo's one, maybe? I don't know. I haven't checked.
Mr. Beast. Do you know who he is?
Oh, that fella, yeah, who helps you grow your YouTube channel?
No, he's the one who does like mad stunts and all that, and
is that
games
him?
And things like that. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Pure entertainment.
I've seen on the channels about growth, they reference Mr. Beast. That's where I'm getting mixed up. Anyway, as we are talking about helping us keep the show on the road, you can also do that by subscribing to our Patreon for the extra show each week and access to every extra show that we've ever done. You could also throw in a super chat while we're live. So if you're on live, if you're among the 116 people who've tuned in to have a go while we're live, you could throw a super chat in on YouTube now. And I could say, thanks, X, whoever you might be. And also, you can buy us a virtual cuppa at buymeacoffee.com/the Late Challenge. /the Late Challenge. And people do that, and people leave nice comments on there too. And all that is great. Now, when I've walked in here tonight, I'm really pleased with myself because I've called the show Snakes, Waffle and Trolls. And in my head, that's a good headline once upon a time. But we're not allowed to do good headlines anymore because it's not good for, what's it called? What's that shit called on the internet? Where can people click it? It's not good. SEO. SEO. So when I was at the Mirror writing good headlines, they were like, nah, lad. I was like, well, that's boss that. And they were like, yeah, but you're still in print media mode.
Yeah.
And like, it needs to be SEO. And it needs to have fucking Prince William in the first 2 words, and it needs to have a colon there. I'm like, where's the skill in that?
We should force them. We should bend the world to
Come back
to us.
Yeah, I think it might come back.
It should reward creative headlines.
Also, as well, I've been speaking to you via the medium of Twitter, saying, what would you like us to speak about this week? And you all said different things, and there was no consensus. And I was like, the people are saying, do Liverpool, Robbo. And I'm like, all right, yeah. So not a lot's happened in Liverpool world because we haven't played, but we are going to do Liverpool. Then I said, can I talk about these blurts writing about mad things in the papers? Can I slag them off for the 10 millionth time? And people were like, we know that though. We know that the blurt, you need to ignore it, you need to leave it, you need to escape from their algorithm and all that kind. But like I thought, well, where's the fun in that? You know what I mean? Because I think the good thing, I think we slag the internet off a lot, don't we, me and you?
Yeah.
And I think
which I enjoy doing it through the medium of the
internet. Yeah. But I like about the internet that, we've got a platform here, albeit, it's not the biggest followed one in the world or even close to, but this is our opportunity to hit back at Jeff Powell, to hit back at Jason Burt, to hit back at these blades peddling this shit line. It's our opportunity to say, we don't want this anymore, stop doing it. Like, you just look like dickheads. So should we just start with that? Because that's at the top of my agenda and that's where we are right now.
Do you want me to tell you before we get into that,
go on,
about the biggest YouTube channels in the world? Mr. Beast has got 314 million subscribers.
Fucking hell. Go ahead, Mr. Beast.
Should we set our target to chase him?
Has he got adverts running on it, do you reckon?
He has his own fucking food and everything now, doesn't he?
Does he? Yeah.
Yeah, he's got chocolate bars and everything. But
someone says here, Mr. Beast has been exposed, lol. And Scouser Pete says, Mr. Beast gives away money, does mad challenges with his mates, subscribers, and does some philanthropy stuff too.
Yeah.
Philanthropy.
Some mad shit.
The ragged trousers. Wait, he's not ragged trousers if he's got that many friggin' subscribers. Go on, sorry.
Well, I've seen him talk about, like, you don't want that many subscribers actually because he can't fucking go anywhere anymore. Like, think about because of the demographic he appeals to as well. Everywhere he goes, he gets mobbed, which I don't really want that. But did I say to you that we haven't seen you for a couple of weeks? Have I? Like, it just keeps coming up in my head because I live with a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, so I'm often exposed to what kids watch on the internet. The number of times I'm saying to Siobhan, "Fuck me!" Like, me and Robert were like, we're not working our asses off, but we put in a lot of effort to this. We think we're doing something good. People like it. And we're, pushing up to 10,000 subscribers. I think our best ever video got like 20,000 views, didn't it? And I'm watching like the shit that my 4-year-old showed me. And I'm sure you're experiencing the same. And it's like 350 million views of like some nonsense. Yeah. And I'm like, this is the fucking way forward. Coco Melon Nursery Rhymes is the 3rd biggest YouTube channel in the world. 182 million subscribers. Wow. And loads of the top 20.
Yeah, all that is loads of parents going, "Oh, well, you shut up, lad. Hang on."
Exactly.
Putting Coco Melon on.
The other thing,
watch that, will you, and give us a rest.
People, at most, someone will watch one of our shows twice at a push, right? The vast majority of people will watch something like this and never watch it again. Kids just watch, as anyone knows who have got little kids or had little kids, they will just watch. Like,
once they're into something,
our 4-year-old Bobby, he will show me like a YouTube short and he will just leave it on loop for like 20 minutes, just watching it over and over again. And you're like, aren't you bored of this one yet, mate? No, I love this one. It's my favourite, this one. And you're like, no wonder it's got so many fucking views. So the whole point of saying this is, if this doesn't go the way we want it to in the next couple of years, maybe we just switch and start doing like nursery rhymes and that.
I'm not being Mr. Tumble, lad. I'm not being Mr. Tumble for no one.
Choo Choo TV nursery rhymes and kids songs, 92.9 million subscribers.
Imagine
that's an Indian channel.
Lad, if we suddenly switch to something like that, you get called a nonce on a daily basis.
Imagine if you started a kids nursery rhyme. We wouldn't be able to walk down the street.
Nah, you're all right. I quite like this because we often talk as well about our memories being really bad, but some things do stick, believe it or not. And this has just rang a bell. So in a way, he might be clever looking for a bit of marketing, but even then I like that because we're shit at it. Doesn't mean other people are. Paul says, Paul's Bar on St. John's Road, Waterloo, are listening, and as soon as I work out how to do it, I'll send you a coffee. So thanks for that, mate. But the same fella also sent me a message, I seem to recall, where he said, I believe you're living around these parts now, which I have now been doing for whatever, 8-9 months. And he said, pop in and have a pint. At some point, and I still haven't, but it is in my mind to do so. So that's a little reminder. So yeah, thanks, mate, and shout out for your bar as well, there, mate. So yeah, Paul's Bar on Paul's Bar on St John's Road, Waterloo, Sefton, near Crosby. Lovely. Okay, we'll talk about the shit in the paper now then. And the shit in the paper that particularly got my attention, where I just thought, oh, lad, was Jeff Powell over the weekend. Do you know who Jeff Powell is? He's an old fella who writes for the Daily Mail, who just so happens to have an MBE. But anyway, we'll come back to that. So his piece was, Lee Carsley should be sacked by the FA today. His refusal to sing the national anthem is a betrayal, and he's not fit to be England manager. Now I had to basically like crack this piece to get into it, but I was keen to annoy myself, and I got inside it because it was like, you know, Mail Plus or something, and I thought, as much as I'm keen to get in and laugh at the shite this fella's turned out, I'm not paying for it, but I got myself in there anyway. So highlights of this piece included: Carsley is technically astute. The FA hierarchy have been impressed by his coaching of the England under-21s in winning a European Championship at that level. Well done, the juniors, who are mostly singing his praises in hope of being promoted to the senior squad. But the FA should have been alerted by the sight of Carsley sitting on those benches with mouth frozen shut as the players belted out our anthem. They should know that there is more to senior England than schoolmasterly acumen. Much more. Whatever has been said about Southgate failing to get over the line in major tournaments, some of it by myself, his patriotism has never been called to question. He dressed like an English gentleman, conducted himself in a manner that an English gentleman should, took both victory and defeat like a sporting English gentleman, gave every last ounce of himself to the national cause, and when it proved to be not quite enough, he took his leave like an English gentleman. So listen to this from Carsley upon his interim appointment. Being head coach of England is a major achievement, but I'm definitely proud of my heritage. And he's put Irish, Jeff has, in his copy in brackets. Well, thanks a lot for that, Lee, who went on to enthuse about his recent summer break with the family in ... Cork. Oh no! Where should he go? New Brighton. No, why is he not allowed to go to Cork?
That's a great bit, isn't it? Yeah. Fucking disgrace.
And he even went to Cork.
Went to Cork on holiday with his family.
Listen,
Gareth
Jeff.
Southgate wouldn't go to Cork on holiday with his family, would he?
Do you know what they make in Cork? Barry's tea. We've been to Cork, haven't we?
We have. Great place.
And it was fantastic, yeah. So you do one. What I also liked as well, just because, you know, I'm trying to stun him a bit. He said, contrarily, Jack Charlton, a 66th World Cup winner with England, made Irish eyes smile when he became their national team manager, while retaining the affection of the English public. Yeah, mate, Jack Charlton never sang the Irish national anthem.
I didn't
when he was in
that
charge.
Bit that you've put because it was in italics. He wrote that as
yeah,
well.
That's Jeff's as well, yeah.
So what the fuck, what's he talking
exactly,
about?
What is he on about? Like, why is the editor, or anyone not gone? Jeff, like, you're in your 80s here, lad. Have you had a bit of a senior moment here? Because Jack didn't sing the fucking national anthem when he was in charge.
Against your own point. Yeah.
And then Roy Keane's like got involved, and I like Roy Keane. He's boss. And he said, I played with Lee for Ireland, as in Carsley. He didn't sing the national anthem then, and it was never an issue for anyone. Jack Charlton didn't sing it. And then he said, when you're in a job like Jack and Lee, your focus is to try and win football matches, and that'll take care of everything else. I mean, done. You know what I mean?
I was thinking
in
about
that Boss Roy Keane way, like a little rubber stamp. That's
I was
that
watching
box.
him again this week.
Next.
I know we've talked about it a few times, but I was thinking, I think we should make Roy Keane like the patron saint of this show.
He's fucking great.
Because he's just like, he's everything I aspire to be. Do you know what I mean? He was on their podcast the other week, and his latest one was I think Gary Neville had been to see Bruce Springsteen, and he went, "You didn't sing, did you?" And Gary Neville was like, "Yeah, why?" Do you know when Neville looks like he's getting bullied a bit? He's like, "Yeah, why?" He's like, "Oh, I hate it when people sing at concerts." And I was like, "Oh, that's one of your best, Roy. Why would you sing at a concert? Just listen to them sing."
There wasn't he ranting once about people having parties as well?
Parties,
I don't
loud
like
music,
parties.
shaking hands.
Okay, now. Yeah, Jeff Powell received an MBA for his contributions to sports journalism. Jimmy Hill, chinny rack on. But it wasn't just Jeff Powell. Jason Burt in the... Wait for it, drum roll. Jason Burt in the Telegraph was at it as well. And he said, the interim surely cannot expect to manage England if he does not sing the anthem. Sometimes you just have to do things out of respect and in recognition of the position you're in. Carsley is failing to do that. He mentions that he's from Birmingham. He mentions that he used to be the head coach of the England 21s when he didn't do it then either. But the reason for Jason is that this is now a whole new ball game, a whole new level of responsibility, focus, scrutiny, expectation, and being a leader and an ambassador. And this is a different office. And Carsley needs to understand that if he wants to occupy it and not cause unnecessary offence, well, he should sing God Save the fucking King. What a load of shit. It's a game of footy. Like, it's not even, like they keep saying, the national anthem. Yeah, not of England, mate. That's who the footy team is. Like, honestly, like, we've done it before, haven't we? Like, I think we've both nailed our things that I'm asked to say, that we're not massively into the royal family. We don't really get why we sing about kings. We don't really get why we've got a king. We don't really get why you can't just sack them off and people can come and visit a palace and say, once upon a time they used to have a king, but then they realised they're all paying for fuck all. So they jibbed it, redistributed the wealth and cracked on. But yeah, I mean, I can't even be bothered to read any more of fucking Jason's piece out. I've got loads of it here. But it made me laugh that there's a line in it near the end where he says, it's a shame he does not want to do it. The England team needs to be a source of pride for an at times fractured and angry nation. Showing unity is an opportunity that should be taken. Mate, it's fractured and angry because of fucking people like you making a big deal about a man standing in a dugout not singing about some bellend with sausage fingers raining over him. Like, I just... God Save the King is the national anthem of the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom aren't playing footy here. England are. So just come up with some song for England that doesn't go on about shite like kings. Do that. That's what they did in the rugby, isn't it, I think? And that's what they've done in other sports. Why is there this insistence about king connected to football?
Well, the other thing I was thinking about as well is, like, presumably their point, but none of them actually say this, is that the England team is representative of England country, and therefore that's why you should sing the national anthem. But it's funny that I didn't even realise until you put it in here that the national anthem is a UK thing, not an English thing. So they don't even realise that, the soft bastards. But also, I just looked up, and I think we talked about this ages ago. If you look at the support for the monarchy in England now, or I guess in the UK, it's been on the decline for decades. And if you look at by age demographic of the young generation, which is, this doesn't specify the YouGov thing, only 36% want to keep the monarchy. So if the point is this should be representative of the people, you're like, well, the young people don't want the monarchy, so we shouldn't have a song about a king, should we? So let's address that.
Exactly.
And get them to sing something that's representative of the entire nation. And then we'll all sing it.
Yeah.
If
Like
you can find it.
invent a new song, Go Wed England or something, and
Yeah.
we can all sing that.
Yeah.
And like, you know, because as you've just said, there are plenty of people from all walks of life who don't think we should have a royal family. And this song is about the royal family.
Yeah.
And that's got nothing to do with football or sport.
It's the wildest. I'll never ever understand why any human in this day and age will sing about another human reigning over them. Like, why would anyone be in support of that? If you go back, even during the stuff you put in here, I need to look into the history of the royal family properly, because I always joke about it, but it's like everything else. It's only a few hundred years old. Before that, if you'd have walked around, people go and tell them the concept of the royal family, they'd be like, it's fucking mental, that. But then one day someone comes around with a big sword and starts killing people and going, I'm the king now. And then we go, all right, we best fucking sing a song for you then, hadn't we, mate? He's like, yeah, whenever I come into the town, sing me song or I'll chop your head off.
Well, someone said here, and used the perfect phrase for this. He said, mandated patriotism is embarrassing, and it is. Like, you know, like remember that, like it was you know, crowbarred into Anfield that day. Why? We don't want it. Just do it somewhere else. You know, do it where people want to sing it. Don't crowbar it into something and say, you've got to do it. And these blades, like spending the time at computers writing out big articles about Lee Carsley's of the screen. He's not, mate. He won the England under-21s Euros with them, and he did a good job. All the players seemed to like him. On the actual pitch on Saturday, he seemed to make a lot of decisions that made sense, which went against how Southgate approached it a lot of the time. He put a fella with a left foot on the left wing. He put a right back at right back. England played quite well, beat Ireland. Job's a good one. That's what he's there for.
But these articles, like, there's madder stuff even than... They just show themselves up as weirdos, I think. Because, like, even in that Jeff Powell piece, he says... One of the things that jumped out to me, Joey says... the FA have been impressed by his coaching of the under-21s because he won a European Championship at that level. You're like, that's good that you know, mate.
Yeah, like, no, there's all little digs.
We just won it at the under-21s. You're like, oh, Sam. But then he put, well done, the juniors. Like, fucking patronising bastard.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who are mostly singing his praises in hope of being promoted to the senior squad. I don't think they are, mate, because they've been singing his praises the entire time. And he hadn't been promoted to the senior squad then, had he? He's only recently been appointed to the senior squad. And all of the players were, like, if you look back, I remember when Lee Carsley's name first came into my consciousness, Joe, as a manager, potential future England manager. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then someone said to me, I don't know whether it was on a show or someone commented, like, have a look. Like, have a look at the footy the under-21s play. It's unbelievable. Yeah. He's a boss manager. Yeah. And, like, the players love him. That was before he was appointed interim. And the other thing he's done in here, which I loved, listen to this from Carsley, upon his interim appointment, and he puts interim in inverted commas. Like, why have you put that in?
I know.
Why is that in inverted commas? It is his interim appointment.
No.
He's just weird. They're just weirdos.
Some proposals in the comments. EastEnders theme tune, Only Fools and Horses. I mean...
Only Fools and Horses would be good.
Benny
Hill would be good.
Anything would be preferable. You know, long to reign over us. Send him victorious, our noble king, our gracious king.
Do you know what I was loving about the thing?
Choicest gifts in store, on him be pleased
this
to
is
pour.
The bit, though. This is the bit, though. I bet, yeah. So before I say this out loud, right, clear your mind. And when I say this, ask yourself, did you know this? There's more than one verse to the national anthem. How many of these... like knobheads, like Jeff Powell. Imagine if you got older Jeff Powell without him being able to look it up.
No, the
and said to him,
MBE bell end.
I bet you he wouldn't. I bet you might know there is one. Do you reckon he'd be able to sing the words?
Oh yeah.
So like you're such a big fan of this fucking stuff, mate. But you bet you don't even know the full words to the whole song. So we basically only sing the first verse to a song, and you've got your knickers in a twist about it.
Wild. I also wanted to mention as well, once upon a time, and I can remember this. Do you remember this? Are you old enough for this? When like BBC programming, you know, used to finish for the night. Didn't used to be 24-hour telly. And like it used to finish at like, you know, whatever, midnight or something.
This is proper like middle-aged shit,
yeah,
isn't it?
And they played.
There'd be young people watching going, what?
Yeah.
The telly used to stop.
The telly used to stop and it'd just be like,
stop. Yeah.
and then,
He would literally do that noise.
and like
That's funny, that, isn't it?
you get a picture of some girl with a little fucking chalkboard or whatever.
Fucking nonsense, wasn't it, when you look back? But why did they play that noise?
But I don't know.
There was something about the signal or something, wasn't
But they played the national anthem, didn't they?
Yeah.
At the end, and it was like, you know, how many people woke up with a bevy and they're on, what the fuck's this on for? Boop. And then, funny enough, I've been watching this thing like this is called Once Upon a Time in Northern Ireland, and it's about like, you know, the Troubles, and obviously like it's people looking back at it who were involved from all different sides and all the rest of it, different perspectives. It's really good. It's quite depressing, but you know. But funny enough, there was a woman on that saying, like, you know, when the national anthem come on, we're like, oh God, like running at the telly to turn it off. And this is the thing, you know, then and now, there are people that just don't want to hear that. You know, I'm sure there are people who support England, want to go and watch the football, and just don't want to be reminded about, you know, all this bollocks that's connected to it around King and fuck off. Anyway, but this made me laugh when I was doing a bit of research around all this. So Andrew Rosendale was a Conservative MP. I don't know if he still is or what, but in November 2016, he argued in an early day motion for the return of the national anthem at the end of BBC One transmissions each day. It was dropped in 1997 because of 24-hour broadcasting, like the BBC show BBC News 24 overnight. So there is no close down, so there is no opportunity to be playing it anyway. But he wanted it played, he wanted it restored, this blade, to commemorate the Brexit vote and Britain withdrawing from the EU. At the evening of the same day, Newsnight ended its nightly broadcast with the host that night, Kirsty Walk, saying they were incredibly happy to oblige his request. And they then played a clip of the Sex Pistols' similarly named song, and apparently he was upset by that. Now this is, you know, so do we all know what GB News is? I would presume we do. Most people watching will do. If not, go and look it up. Go and look at what it's about. Go and look at what its values are. Go and look at the type of people who have contributed shows on it. They play God Save the Queen or God Save the King now at the start of live programming every day. Now, if you're listening, you won't see the face I'm pulling, but... Anyway, I like this as well. I always like when so those two pieces ended up being like national discourse one way or the other, which is why I felt like we should talk about it. You know, they ended up on the radio. They ended up on you know, Lee Carsley was asked about it. You know what I mean? It was one of them where, you know, whatever their motivations were for writing it, it went bigger. I like it when it then means people at other newspapers can basically file copy ripping it, essentially. So in The Guardian, I quite enjoyed this reading this report. It said, at precisely 4:59 p.m. in Dublin, an act of great treachery took place. Nobody will forget where they were on the day when Lee Carsley from Birmingham stood and decided not to sing a song moments before leading England to an easy 2-0 win over the Republic of Ireland in their 2024 Nations League opener. Has a victory ever tasted so bitter? Has the imagination of Trent Alexander-Arnold's passing, the audacity of Jack Grealish's dribbling, and the general sense of an England team treating the ball like an old friend ever felt so irrelevant when placed next to the shame of Carsley? How can the nation be expected to move forward when its football team is led by a man merrily refusing to even mouth the words to the national anthem? And he goes on. And he says here, who should take the team in that scenario? Nigel Farage, an actual British bulldog? Certainly not the woke socialist Keir Starmer, who had made the trip to Ireland to watch Carsley begin to press his claim to take over from Gareth Southgate on a permanent basis. I also heard, I've got to throw this in, from a former colleague, ISD, if you're watching or listening. He sent a tweet saying, and I enjoyed this phraseology here. He says, don't tell the Gaminati. Nice. But none of the England players or Sir Alf sang the national anthem at the 1966 World Cup final. And I bet none of them shagged a flag either. Nice. I also heard a debate. There is a show which is presented as not the usual fare of Talk Sport before people say, Robbo, just stop listening to Talk Sport. So on a Sunday morning, there's Henry Winter, who, love him, loathe him, is a big voice in the football world in this country. Him and Sean Custis have a radio show, and they discussed all this bollocks at length. And Custis genuinely started to come out with this stuff where I was just like, are you fucking serious? So not only was he bang with this whole narrative that Carsley shouldn't even have the job because he won't sing the anthem, he went on to say that in times past, the tabloids had that much power that if it was still like that now, and the likes of Brian Woolnough, etc., were still writing, he would be out of a job by now. And he genuinely presented that as a good thing, which brings me back round to my point that I made about an hour ago. This is why I'm talking about it, because for all that we come on here and say the internet shit, etc., 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 at least there's an element now that we can hold these blades to account. For years and years, the likes of Woolnough, etc., and others would write shite like that, and no one would no one would have the platform to push back. Yeah. And so it would keep on going round in perpetuity. Like it was like, oh, we can do that. That was right to do that. Let's keep doing that. At least now we can say, well, we don't want that bollocks anymore. What the fuck? How many right-thinking people in the country think that this is a worthwhile drum for you to all beat? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%.
Anyway, we did get a super chat earlier from Adam Hetherington. I am mate. He says, get in. I was worried Granny Robbo wasn't well. Great to see Jake and Elwood back together. Granny Robbo isn't well, mate. So just I was going to mention this later on, but thank you to everyone who did send me a message and a tweet and DMs and all the rest of it, asking, well, just saying, I hope you're okay and all the rest of it because of my southern withdrawal from last week's show. Thanks to Mo as well for jumping in at late notice and making sure the show could still carry on. My nan is still in hospital. She had a fall. Hopefully she's going to be okay. Lots of questions at this time. Saw her yesterday. She was good yesterday. She wasn't so good the day before. She is 101. The nurses keep telling me she's amazing. I know that already. And I'll tell you who else is amazing. People who do jobs in the NHS. I knew about what was going on with the NHS. I knew what was going on with hospitals because I read, because I've taken the news, etc. But when you see it, when you experience it, when you feel it, when it's one of your own, when it's someone you love, it's fucking heartbreaking. Like, it was like, it took over an hour for the ambulance to come. No fault of the lads driving the ambulance. The paramedics were absolutely brilliant. In fact, if anyone knows, all I can remember is that one of them was called Rob. I think he lived Allerton ways, and he's mates with the fella called Barry off that Toffee TV. If someone can pass on a message, he was brilliant. He was superb with me nan. He was superb with me. He was like a therapist as well as doing his job. And we basically had to, so when they come to my nan's house, they got me nan out of her house and into an ambulance. And then he basically said to me, mate, we're going to be in this ambulance for a long time, just so you know. And then when we got to the hospital, there was a queue of 14 ambulances to go into the hospital. So we just had to sit in the back of a van for a long time. And, they gave me nan, some painkillers and anti-sickness and whatever. And she had a bit of a kip. And so I'm just left with this fella who I don't know going, all right, mate. But he was superb. He was brilliant. And, and I was doing that stuff that I think is probably quite human, where you're like, is there more I could have done here? Am I shit? Am I a crap grandson? Whatever. And he was just like, mate, no. You know what I mean? He was like, there are people out there in your nan's position who've got no one. So stop beating yourself up about it.
Absolutely.
And he was brilliant though. He was just such a great fella. And we're in this big queue and you're just like, how are we in 2024? And there's a 101-year-old woman on a bench in the back of an ambulance because there's nowhere for her to go in the hospital. And it was good as well because there was a point where he just went, right, hang on, I'm just going to go out. And it was basically like, he'd fucking had enough at this point. And he come back and he was like, come on, I've worked my magic. And then we were in. And I think he must have just got in there and said, fuck, there's a woman who's 101 here, sitting in a car park, like, what the fuck? So we ended up in there, and then, guess what? She was just in a queue on a corridor. And, like, they were doing, like, starting to do, like, little tests and looking at her and all that on a corridor. And, like, you know, just, like, the sort of, the lack of dignity, really, of that situation. You know, I could hear conversations, you know, that were going on with other people's loved ones, and, you know, like, literally people, like, a doctor saying to a family, like, you know, do you consent to the fact that due to his age, like, you know, we wouldn't resuscitate him and things like that. And I'm like, that shouldn't be said on a corridor. Do you know what I mean? It just shouldn't, should it?
100%, yeah.
And it's sad. But, you know, see, and I know it's been said before, and I know lots of people have said it, but I'm saying it now. People who do those jobs are absolute heroes. Do you know what I mean? Like, they know it's fucked as well. And
well, especially the ones who are staying,
like,
they're staying in it.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
those circumstances, in those conditions. Yeah. It's. I think you're right. Like, it's stuff we talk about, but until you see it with your own eyes, you don't realise just how fucked up, like, the country is.
Yeah,
and you said before, as a rhetorical question, something I always do in my coaching is say to people whenever we ask rhetorical questions, just stop and change the tone and ask it as a real question. Like, how have we got to this place in 2024? It's like, no, how have we got to this place in 2024?
Yeah.
It's like a generation of Tory government. That's how we got here. And they'll try and tell you it's because we're being overloaded with immigrants, and, you know, without going down that path again. And me and you have both acknowledged separately, there's a sensible conversation to be had all around the world, probably, about immigration policy, and something I've said for a long time, like, regardless of numbers, how you integrate people into your society if you're gonna have immigration, which we all need. But the nerve of a government that's underfunded a public service for so long, trying to blame it on a whole group of people that it's not their responsibility, is just a fucking disgrace.
I know. And
when
you know,
see it firsthand, and you're just like...
And I haven't read it in depth. I've cast over it, you know, not because I'm not arsed, just I haven't had the time. But, you know, there's a report just come out, isn't there, about it, you know, essentially the NHS is failing children as well. And it's like...
Well, it will be, won't it?
Yeah,
it's failing everyone.
Yeah, and it's just, like I say, it's so sad, and it's so sad to see the people in it. And it's so sad, you know, to see firsthand the frustrations of that man there trying to do his job, who was obviously brilliant at it. And he was like, and I was asking him loads of questions because I'm, you know, inquisitive. And I was like, you know, this must do your head in. Like, how would you cope? And he's like, he said, mate, when I knock off, that's it. I don't think about it again, because that's the only way I can deal with it. He said, but things like, so like they're just having to, so, you know, they wheel my nan into that hospital. They have to wait with that bed because that bed is from the fucking ambulance. Do you know what I mean? So they're just stood there. And it's like, well, people need that ambulance. That's why I obviously had to wait an hour in the first place, isn't it? And he was like, mate, he was like, you know, you can do a 12-hour shift and you might see to 4 calls, maybe less.
Yeah.
And it's like,
there's a problem here, isn't there, fellas? Yeah.
It's fucking bananas. And it's like, anyway. Anyway, thankfully, you know, my nan is now in a ward and with some brilliant nurses who are looking after her. They're great as well. So, yeah, and thanks. There's more comments there coming in as we're talking. So thanks to everyone who's commented and being nice and all the rest of it. Much appreciated. Don't want to totally take over the show talking about my nan. Like, so next on the agenda was I wanted to just say something about. We talked a lot on here about ticket prices. We talked a lot on here about the importance for fans to stand up against some of the things that football clubs are doing. Madly, to my mind, we took some stick for that. We even had someone who unsubscribed and things like that and made a big point of doing so. And it was like, okay, well, you know, if you stand aside and wave them through, which a lot of people seem to be willing to do, what is it you think will then happen? And for those that have somehow missed it, Aston Villa are charging between £74 and £97 for Champions League tickets, which is fucking bananas, isn't it? It's absolutely wild. Rightly, their fans have kicked off about it. Rightly, people are talking about it across the country. And rightly, people like me are saying, yeah, hang on, how were we the bad guys when we said we should stand up against ticket prices? Some of the Villa fans are proposing to protest against the pricing. Villa are playing Everton this weekend in an R5 kickoff. There's various plans flying around about turning the backs and, whatever, loads of plans. A march, turning the backs, a boycott of food and drink, all of this kind of stuff going on. And more power to their elbow. Well in, lads, that is exactly what you should be doing, in my opinion, because if we allow the capitalists who've got inside our football clubs to just do what they like, this is the type of thing they will do, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's grim. It's absolutely grim. But not only that as well. I think, it's hard. There's that much information in the world now, isn't there? There's that much stuff goes on. It's hard, especially if you're like dealing with a million and one other things in life. It's hard to stay on top of it all, isn't it? And just with a cursory glance into Aston Villa world for this show, not only have you got this controversy about the Champions League ticket pricing, but they've been doing other stuff as well where you're like, are you what? So like there's been a bit of a piss gate, for want of a better phrase, controversy where people are basically saying they're having to walk through pools of piss at Villa Park when they go to the bogs. And it's like, okay, lads, so 97 quid, yeah, but you can't sort out the pisses. And it's a bit like, we keep laughing at Man United about it, don't we? Why can't you sort that roof? Even symbolically, why can't you just sort the roof? There's people sitting below it getting pissed on while paying, big amounts of money for the privilege. Just, you can sort it. You're right, though, isn't it? It's like, it's symbolic. It's symbolic. Like, and this one's very, apt of them taking the piss out of everyone. Because it's like, we're literally having to wade through our own piss at the game. And then you're going to charge us £97. And it's the same. It's got echoes of the Leeds thing from the other week, hasn't it? Where supporters are like, so hang on, we've been supporting this team through decades of fucking shite, through thick and thin. And when we finally get back to the big time and we get in the Champions League, back in the European Cup, this is what you do. This is our first move, yeah. I know. Nice one. Yeah, thanks, cheers. And again, it's that thing of just not giving a shit or appearing to give it. It's just like, I don't care that you're loyal. I don't care that you've been here all these years. I don't care that 3, 4, 5, 6 generations of your family have supported this club. Someone else will come along. Yeah. Not our. Like the amount of people genuinely who just will go, supply and demand, isn't it, mate? Supply and demand. Is it? Yeah. I mean, so that's all it is. So football's just a business, is it? Yeah. And there's no, we're not connected to it in any way. We don't love it. We're not obsessed by it. It isn't something we've lived through. It isn't something we pinpoint life events by. You know what I mean? It isn't something where my arse. That's the same argument that Hicks and Gillette made when they started going on about Weetabix. You don't just choose. When you're a Liverpool fan, you don't suddenly go, "Oh, the tickets are too dear now. I'll just go and support someone else." It doesn't work like that, does it? No. Anyway, we've done that before, so we won't do it again. But just to add that, Villa, I've also had fans raging against them for increasing the prices of the disabled parking. I think they backtracked on that one. And there's loads of other stuff. I mean, go away and have a read about it, basically. There's stuff going on at West Ham. There's stuff going on at Tottenham. There is a direction of travel, like we said before, where they are all, it seems pretty much as a collective, starting to test the water about what can we get away with. And all the things that organised fans won in the past and that are slowly being eroded, or there's an attempt to erode them. And so more people, in my opinion, should get involved with Football Supporters Association, Spirit of Shankly, or whoever you might support the equivalent of, because I reckon we're probably in for a fight pretty soon. Where are we in terms of the show here? We've done 51 minutes. Yeah, I'm getting nods. So we've got 9 minutes to talk about the Reds. Should we start and then not finish and then just carry on in the in the other show. Let's do that. All right. Well, let's start with contract gate, because in the absence of football itself, what I see in Liverpool world right now is a lot of talk about contract gate, which is obviously Virgil, Mo, and Trent, all being in a situation where very soon they could leave for nothing. So Monday's papers are saying Virgil wants to stay. Old Trafford, to me, I didn't watch all of the show last week. I'm sure you talked about it then. But Old Trafford, to me, said Mo wants to stay.
Mm-hmm.
The Liverpool rumour mill, I'm no ITK here, I don't know anyone, no one's told me this, just stuff I've seen in WhatsApp groups and elsewhere. There is a rumour, I stress rumour, that Trent has been offered something, but up to now hasn't accepted. And then that's where we are. That's the current contract gate situation. When I was driving before, they were talking about it on the radio when I was driving in, and I was thinking, okay, there's it's creating quite a negative cloud around what's been a positive start to the season. But then also, if you zoom out a little bit, if Virgil is essentially saying he's happy for the next 2 years, which is the quote he's given post-game at the weekend, that'll take him to 35. I think he should be snapping his hand off and getting that sorted. But it says to me that because he said something publicly and he hasn't just battered it away, sounds like he's happy and he's going to sign something. Fingers crossed that is the case. We've already had Alisson come out and say he's happy, and that's done. And we had Joyce's piece about that the other week. So there's two big mainstays now for me that are saying, I'm staying. Mo, like we've already just said there, his Old Trafford, post-Old Trafford thing, interviews, etc., seem to be saying, well, as things stand, to me last one, but I want to stay. Can I have a contract, please? So he wants to stay. Just being a question mark over Trent is far more positive than a couple of weeks ago, isn't it? Because it's saying to me that if that's genuinely where they're all at, I remember us saying ages ago, well, they're probably having a look, aren't they? Where's it going post-Klopp? Who's the new fella? How's the new fella going to do? Do we like the new fella? How will the new fella, control this group? They've had a little taster, haven't they, already? And it says to me, if they're now all chirping up as though it sounds like they're ready to sign, they're happy with what they see. So that's got to be good for us. And that's positive, right?
Yeah, definitely. And it makes sense, doesn't it? Because it's not just us. And if you think about all the pundits pretty much in the summer, no one was saying Liverpool would do well this year, really.
No.
There was no one predicting.
And they're all backtracking massively now, aren't they?
Oh, he's good, this fella, isn't he?
Yeah. But I think, I didn't have them down, but I think they might be in the title race.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, hang on.
Yeah, no shit, yeah. But when you think about it, for a player coming to the end of their contract, whoever it is, even Trent, who's a local lad, there would be a part of you looking at it thinking, but this could be Ferguson to Moyes territory.
Mm-hmm.
So if what we end up with is David Moyes, I don't want to be committed to fucking stay because I don't want to do. It's like, Joe, imagine if it was the equivalent of Hodgson coming in. And the owners say, well, we're backing the manager for 4 years. Well, I don't want to spend 4 years under fucking Roy Hodgson. So I'm going to just keep my options open, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is, in all fairness to him, he's fucking smashed it slot since he's come in, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Everyone knew he was never going to be Klopp personality-wise. He hasn't tried to be. He's straight battered loads of stuff. Still, he's shown a sense of humour still. I think he's quite interesting to listen to. I saw Carragher saying at the weekend, I feel like he's saying too much about what he's doing tactically. But I think it's one of them where he's just so confident in what he does. He's like, I'm not asked. I'll tell you what I'm doing this week because I'm going to change it next week. So you won't have a fucking clue what I'm doing anyway.
Well, I seen a Feyenoord fan, funnily enough, just on Twitter. And he wasn't being an obad. He was just replying to a few Liverpool fans. And he was saying, this is what he's like. And he was like, he's a genius. He knows the game inside out. So, enjoy yourselves, essentially.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I've never heard anyone talk about footy where he does even like,
I know,
and maybe the others just don't talk openly about it, but the way he'll just be like, yeah, well, they were pressing with their 7, their 8 and their 10, and then they switched to press with their 6 and their 5. And you're like, fucking hell, lad.
Yeah.
You're good, aren't you? Like all us knobheads watching it going, trying to pretend we know what we're talking about. Like you haven't got a clue. And I genuinely look at the players and think they must be looking at each other going, it's fucking all right, this, isn't it?
Yeah. Hello.
Like he might not give us the big hugs and all that, but we're just going to win loads of fucking stuff. I was saying to Mo last week, he gives me the air of a fella who's just like, sorry, I'm not interested. I just win football games. And whatever it is, it's like, can we just get you on a headline on this? And he's like, no, I'm not interested. I'm just here to win football games.
Well, if you think back to when, because you can only deal with the sample size you've got, if you like. And look, it's still early, isn't it, obviously? And like, we'll come on to talk about the fact that there's a very tough spell not far off on the horizon. And, we'll see where we are then. But when the sample size was, he's done an interview, and that was all we had in the summer. I remember saying then, like, you worry that, like, the intense pressure, the heat of being the Liverpool manager, almost, that's, however you pitch it, that is levels above of what he would have experienced before. It just is.
Of course.
And so, would he burn in that environment, essentially? And I think we've seen enough already where you're like, he's not burning in that environment. He's going, I belong here. Like, this is where it should be. I'm good. I'm boss. I'm controlling it. And like, just taking on the big boys, if you like. We know Trent wants to play every minute, but that's not his plan. So we're doing my plan. We know Núñez gets a cob on if he doesn't start. I'm not arse, mate. That's not my plan at the moment. So, there's a Kwanzaa's spoken about, getting hooked at Ipswich, and he says something like, it's everyone's nightmare for that to happen. Because not only do you want to play the whole game, but it's also how it looks, isn't it? He's not asked.
Yeah.
And then he said, I was in the next day. He explained it to me, and everything that he said was fair enough. And the team went on to win. And so we've moved on and I'm sound.
Yeah.
And it's like, boss.
But you can imagine him just being like that with all of them, can't you? Like the way he handled the Trent thing was just brilliant the other week when like Trent's got a cob on being subbed, and Slot's reply was basically, well, all the lads who didn't play had a cob on.
Should we do a random comment?
Yeah, go on.
Luke says, get the impression everyone thinks they're cool hating on international football.
Everyone? Or just me and you?
I mean, I don't think I'm cool for hating on international football.
That's why I'm wearing my jacket.
I
was going to wear shades.
I'm just not into it. I have a go of watching it, and it's just not that exciting.
It's a mad
mate.
comment, isn't it? Imagine that.
And also, it's
Do you think you're
time.
cool? Yeah. Why? I don't like international football. Does that make me?
I just don't like it. Like, it's not nothing to do with coolness. It's just shit. And I didn't want it to appear at this point in the season because I was getting into what I was seeing from my club football. And who's asked about the Nations League? Really?
I know this sounds like a mad little tangent, but I feel like I just need to squeeze it in. Have you ever watched Stuart Lee, the comedian? I've been watching him loads in the past week or two. I don't know why. He's just always sort of passed me by. I've only seen little bits of him, and I've been watching some of his full shows. Genuinely, like I was walking around the shop the other day doing a big shop whilst listening to him, and you're one of those lunatics who's just laughing out loud while you're walking around the shop. And he said something like that, and it just what reminded me of this the other day. He was talking about, when he said there's just a whole load of people now. He said there's millions of people who seem to be confusing political correctness with health and safety legislation. When he's like talking about like, oh well, it's political correctness gone mad. When we were young, you're allowed to smoke whatever you wanted, and it's like that's not political correctness. It's health and safety. And I remember my ex-father-in-law used to working on building sites.
I remember
it's political correctness gone mad. You used to be able to just walk around on rooftops without any harness, and it's like that's not political correctness. That's health and safety legislation. And it was just I was laughing my head off watching it because it's stuff like that. These people think they're cool, not like in the English national team. It's got nothing to do with being cool.
No, it's just not that good, mate. It's as simple as that, really.
And do you know what the irony will be? it could be Boss under Lee Carsley because he plays good footy. So, and if he doesn't sing the national anthem, I'll be banging.
I've got to somehow mention it somewhere just to say. I mean, it's just a dead quick one to just say lol, isn't it? We're at the hour here as well, but just so that it makes sense that it's in the title. Did you see the flag, the Snakes flag?
No.
Oh.
So did I? Go on.
I mean, I'll tell you. So for those that missed it, there was literally a flag in Dublin at the match with
oh yeah, Grealish and Rice.
Yeah, as snakes. Yeah, and then of course they both scored. And I was just thinking about the fella who made the flag. Did he just start going like?
Yeah, just start rolling up,
having a bit of a look
because I didn't watch any of the game. This all came to me, Joe, and you just see the headlines and all that. Was he calling them snakes because they've got Irish heritage?
Because they played for Ireland, didn't
they? Play for Ireland as kids?
Yeah, and then jibbed it.
Oh, okay.
You know, they made the U-turn and went off and played for England, didn't they? So the Snakes were doing that. I mean, that's a whole other debate. I personally don't think you should be allowed to. You know, if you've played for them, that's it. You play for them now. Then
it is mad the way you can do that, isn't it? What is it, up to under 21 level? You can
something
play
like
for
that,
one
isn't
nation
it?
And then
I mean, I just think it's a bit mad. But
I think. Well, don't you think? I think it's mad that Declan Rice and Jack Grealish ever played for anyone. Why weren't they playing for the English youth teams? Surely they were good enough.
I know. I don't know. I don't know how I would have got.
Because neither of them.
I don't really care.
No, neither do
I.
I
Thought it was a good flag.
Yeah.
Well, a good flag, but then funny that it was the pair of them then scored. I don't get the non-celebration thing. I hate that. That's absolute bollocks.
Is that why Rice didn't celebrate?
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Because of his Irish family or whatever.
Did he point at the snake flag while he was going like, sorry?
But lad, they're not asked if you celebrate either. You've scored a goal and that's what you're there to fucking do. Yeah. Or, not, okay, you're a midfielder, but that's the good bit.
You're there to win.
Do you remember when fucking John Joe Shelby didn't celebrate and you're like, lad, fucking celebrate. Lad, celebrate. Oh yeah, we got bollocks for that. I just realised, I just got onto myself saying it. Someone put in the comments either last week or the week before that we fell into the trap of every other Liverpool content maker by saying lad all the time. Lad. And apparently if we stop saying that...
You set the trap.
Well, I know, yeah.
These are questions we need answering, isn't it?
That's it. You set the lad trap.
It's not our fault that someone set a trap we fell into, is it, mate?
Exactly. Anyway.
Blame the trap maker.
We will carry on talking about Liverpool, but it's going to have to be on the other side. If you haven't got onto it already, go and have a look at our Patreon. You can have a free trial. You don't have to pay anything. You can just get yourself in there, have a look at it, have a listen, have a watch, decide if it's for you, watch all the old shows, and then you can jib it when it asks you for money. But we'd like it, obviously, if you're stuck with it and paid us some money and we can keep it all going. But we're going to...
Is that our new marketing line?
Yeah, that's a new one, line.
Jib it when it asks you for money.
We are going to talk about Gravenberch. We're going to talk about the fact that it's Forest next. We're going to look at Liverpool's forthcoming fixtures in general. And then we've got some other stuff on there. We haven't really. I was going to talk about my nan, but we've already talked about my nan. Come on, the nan. Yeah, okay, well that's it. We'll leave it there. If you're gonna stick with us, we're over on Patreon in a minute, or in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. You can watch live, you can watch after, you can listen after. It's over on Patreon. The Late Challenge, Patreon. Oh, that's another one, isn't it? Scouser Pete there, presumably with a smile on his face, has put, "Stop begging, lad." Because that's another one. I had some weird argument with someone on Twitter the other week, and he's like, "Just go back to begging on your YouTube, lads." Shut up, you tit. Okay, that's been episode 84 of The Late Challenge. See you again at the same time next week. Goodbye.
Bye.